Hey guys, Case with Top Branch. Today we're going to be showing you how we fell trees close to structures, close to buildings, and not much of an escape route, and some of the things that you need to consider. As you can see, we don't have much space to work with. And when you're working in a campground or with anywhere where the people hang out, a lot of times there's steel in the tree. Plus, we want to cut where these two trees are turned into separate stems. Down low here, it makes the hinge and makes the cutting what we have to consider much more different. So we're going to be cutting it above my head. Basically, we get out of the zone of the steel, and it's nice single stem fibers that we can deal with. So now let's go on this side. Basically, I don't have much of an escape route. I need to cut it way up here. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to cut my face, going to bore into the tree, and I'm going to leave a back strap as well. The tree has a little bit of a lean forward, so it's not bad at all. For those of you that don't know what a back strap is, basically when I cut my face, I'm going to bore into the tree. I'm going to come backwards, but I'm going to leave a little bit of wood on the back side of it that is connected all the way across. And I want it to be probably about an inch and a half thick or so, about 3 or 4 inches, basically almost the size of a 2x4. That way when we add pressure from the rope, it will break that. And I'm going to also put in, just in case if the tree wants to set back for any reason, something ends up happening, I'm going to also put a wedge in there, just so that way if I got to get my saw back in there for any reason, I can. It's a kind of a fail-safe, and then if I have to pound it for any reason, I have that tool, and I want to be able to use it if I need to, but I don't plan on needing to. And so basically I'm just going to be setting my wedge in here. I don't have much space to swing a hammer, so I'm just keeping that in there just so that way the gap stays big enough to get my saw in there if anything happens or goes haywire. So as you can see, I got to be careful, and this is just screen, so if you touch it with a saw, it makes a big hole. I climb trees for a living, and I'm not a giant fan of ladders. This is the ladder that we use. It folds up, super nice, compact, goes in the back of the truck all the time. I think it goes like 21 feet high, so I got plenty of reach if I need to get up and just cut a limb here and there kind of thing. But majority of the time, try to stay away from ladders, just because you see all the videos online and people that are on ladders, they get smashed a lot of times, and I like being hooked to the tree. Just be really careful. You can see I'm going to have a little bit extra on this back side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go bore in, leave probably a 1.5 to 2 inch hinge or so. I'm going to take my tip, bore into that side, get that side, so that way when I go all the way in, when I drive my bar in as far as I can, I'll bypass the 2 cuts, and then I won't have extra holding wood on that back side, so that way we don't break anything up top, because the tree's starting to die a little bit, and makes it so that way all the pressure is just on that back strap that I leave, so that breaks instead of something else happening. I'll be a little precarious, be cutting over my head a little bit, but so be it. You always gotta kind of consider everything as you're doing it, so that way you don't have to take a step backwards. If it would kind of suck if this was a problem after I've got everything all done, because I'm kind of in harm's way in this way. So just go through all the steps, make sure all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed as you go through them, so that way it all comes out perfectly every time, because you think about it as you're doing it to make sure you're not forgetting anything. I also don't recommend this next step, what we're going to be doing, only if you're an expert and you've tried it a couple times, especially not over your head, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be boring into the tree, but I'm going to be doing it with the kickback side of things on my bar here. Usually when you bore into a tree, you're going to use this part, which is called your attack side. But the problem that's going to happen when I do that is it's putting the sawdust literally right in my face. But if I turn the chainsaw up this way and I bore into it, then it allows for all the sawdust just to be projected onto this screen over here, and it keeps my line of sight nice and clear. So I'm going to go into it, bore into it, get it where it needs to be, I'm going to fix my face cut a little bit. It's just a hair crooked, and I want them to be relatively the same plane, so that way I don't have any weird fiber poles or anything like that when this tree is coming over. But let's fix this and then we'll bore into it. Now we're going to bore into the tree, get it all established, and then be ready to run. So I got a little small piece of back strap because my bar was not quite big enough. If I had like a 25-inch bar, it would be much better, but we don't have one of those today. So I'm just gonna cut this side of it, put my wedge into it, get down, and then the skid steer is ready to pull it over. Okay, so now let's go back to the machine and watch this thing fall over. And don't stand 90 degrees to the tree, because if that backside fails for any reason, then the tree comes this way. So try and stand at 45s when you go around the tree, just so that way you have a less probability of something happening to you when the tree falls. Wanted to happen. It would be nice if it didn't blow up into a billion pieces, so we had less to pick up, but that's what the machine's for. Well, as you can see, we did a great job. We didn't have much for fiber pole. We had actually a pretty good size hinge on this guy. I wanted it a little bit bigger, just because the tree's starting to die, so we're losing a lot of structural integrity. And you can see the healthy part of the tree had a lot of this fiber pole, and this was the tree resisting bending is when you get fiber pole. But you see here we have this what's called brash failure, which is when there starts to be fungal colonies that are starting to lessen the structural integrity of the cells in the tree. That's why it just breaks off straight, or or starting to dry out or something like that. But you can when we look at the back side of it here, went in and I came out back here, I cut this little piece on this backside, so that way I knew my saw wasn't going to reach, and you can see my saw made it to here, so I was about like 2 inches too short. And same as back over here. When I was talking about a back strap, and you can see I didn't have much of a back strap, I didn't need a hell of a lot of it, it was mostly in the bark, but that's what this portion that is right here, and that's what was holding the tree from going across, and if it had back lean, it'd be holding the tree up. So I ended up leaving this portion uncut, and then had my wedge in here just in case if something went bad. I would have a plan B basically. Tree, this went super perfect. It's mostly because I just thought about how everything was gonna go and did what it did, my cuts, so that way that would end up happening. But super easy. We're gonna do the same thing on this tree. I'm just gonna send it in the woods and trim a couple branches on the other trees as well. But that's cutting trees close to buildings. Just there's a lot more to consider because there's things of value that are around them as well. So you just gotta make sure you think about everything beforehand. And if you're hesitant in any sense, either get a second opinion or have somebody that has the skills to do it. So that way the structure or the car or whatever doesn't take it hard. But I appreciate you guys watching. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell button so that way when we put up another one, you guys will know. You'll be the first ones to know. And we're going to try and do some reviews as well, and also some giveaways. So just stay tuned for more, guys. Take care.